So, right now, today, when I take your degree certificate from you, would you be left with something that will keep you surviving in today's world? I want you to think about that. Just take a moment and think about that. When I completed college, I desperately needed a job. I moved from one company to another, from institution to another, seeking for a job that only God knew what I was going to come. And all these jobs failed me. I remember myself entering one company, and before I even entered the company, I saw this poster that says, vacancy, vacancy, vacancy. So I thought, right now, my Lord has come down to make everything work out for me. Then I entered. Then I met the manager. He requested for my CV. I presented it to him. Then he went through the CV. He started flipping through. Former SLC president? Wow! A coordinator for a spelling challenge? Wow! A secretary for the Teacher Training Association of Ghana? Wow! And after saying all this, wow, I was expecting that, okay, this time around it's going to work. Then all of a sudden, I heard, Wilson, but looking at these qualifications, I don't know how much I'm going to pay you. So you would have to leave. And I saw myself asking, but sir, I heard you saying, wow. So what happened to the wow? Wilson, you have to leave. I was like, sir, whatever amount you are going to give me as a salary, I'm going to take it. Just give me this job. And you know what? Folks like you with degree certificates come around, they'll be like, okay, sir, give us the job, we are going to work. And then within some months, after they have realized that they have spent all their monies on food and transportation, they left. So I am not ready to take this risk. That very day, I didn't only lose a job, but I rather lost an assumption. An assumption that when we started with our education in primary, we were told that when you took your education serious, work hard, get good grades, life will automatically work for you. When I left school, then came to the real world, which is the street, I noticed that, I wouldn't say I was deceived, but I noticed that the assumption, what I was told, what I was informed, wasn't like that. I don't want you to be thinking that, okay, we have been deceived, though, education has deceived us. No. I am a student of education. And during my first time in college, I was informed that education is not an end, but rather education is a means to an end. So it means that you don't go to school expecting that by the end of the day, you'll be able to do everything. You're going to get money. You're going to be successful in the world. That's very wrong. But education says, I should tell you today that it is a means to an end. It means that with the knowledge that you're going to acquire, during your time in school, that knowledge you would have to work on. Use that in developing something for yourself, building something for yourself. That is where real success come in. So I lost this assumption. Now I wanted to do something for myself. So I thought of, okay, what do I do now? All companies have rejected me, and now, as a prospective teacher, posting has become something else. We don't know whether we're going to be posted or not. So what do? I can still wait till what a few number of years that I'll be posted. So I have to start something. Then I thought of, okay, fine. I did education. I have much knowledge about education. So what do? I would have to start But with the idea and the knowledge that I have about education, in education, you build upon those ideas and bring something or innovate something. But then to do this, I cannot just wake up a day because I have pedagogical knowledge and pedagogical skills. I should start one day and be doing all those steps. I needed to go into the real world where this particular thing is happening, where I think the challenges are. Then I go there. I have to go there to discover that whether what I am thinking, what I am assuming about education, what I am thinking is the real problem of education, whether it is true or not. So I started, before everything, I registered into an institution that organized spelling competition for primary students. And this gave me the opportunity to visit most of the schools in TECHman here, most of the private schools in TECHman here. And when I went to the offices of the managers, I identified problems. When I moved from there, I had to conduct screening for all students in the various classrooms. When I entered the classrooms, I identified problems. So I accepted the fact that what I was thinking about education is very true. Yes, there are problems that need to be solved. One thing that I identified, a real quick one. So I entered this class during my screening, when I was screening learners to get persons who are going to represent our competition. I entered this class, a basic 4 class. Then I asked all learners to pick a sheet of paper. They did that. Then I called out the words to them. After spelling the words, then I went around taking the papers, and I heard from this young boy, quote unquote, "Hey, sir, my bone." What bone saying? After spelling all and then yes, when I went to mark that script and brought it back, yes, I identified that what the kid said is really true. He never performed. So the question is, what can I do? This is a problem. How do I change or solve this problem? So with a friend, we came together. I brought the ideas to the friend. Okay, fine. Now, I think students are not failing or finding it difficult to spell words because they don't know or because they're not intelligent. Because they are lacking some root knowledge. Students are having problems with sounds. They're also having problems with letters. So why don't we innovate something that will make or help this learner understand simple sounds and also letters? And when the understanding of sounds come in, the child will be able to relate the sounds to the letters. Then we developed this one. I would say it was really improvised. A friend who is a carpenter, I went to him, I shared the whole idea with him that, okay, this is how I want it to be. I need a wooden board, and then on the wooden board, we are going to divide the wooden board into 2. Part of the wooden board will contain sounds, all the sounds that we have in English, and part of it is going to contain letters, all the letters that we have in English language. Then he did that. So this is what happens. When the master or the teacher in the class wants the child to really understand and spell very well, the teacher will call out the word. And so upon hearing the sound by the learner will pick those sounds and then fix them on the wooden board at where the sound, the part of the sound has been located. And then this teacher will go ahead to ask the learner to match all the sounds to the right letters that particular word deserves. And they really worked like magic. We were able to work like with 5 scores. They bought our item, and then it provided something good for us. Now, today, if you would allow me, I would love to make a simple recommendation. My recommendation is that all those persons who have not attended the university or college yet, before you go, identify a problem in the society. And after identifying that problem, you go ahead, when you go to school or go to the university, you read much about such problem. You do much investigation about that problem. And then you look for solution to that problem. So before you leave college or university to to the community, to the street, you already have a business in hand. Because every single problem in our community is an opportunity in disguise. Now, if you would allow me, I am going to give you about three of the critical shifts that you would have to do when you want to move from school to the real world where real life happens. So today I'm sharing with you 3 shifts in life, or 3 shifts that you would have to do when you want to really survive on the street. Number 1 of my shift, I call it that you would have to move from, or shift from identifying a problem to identifying the real problem. Just move from everybody's thinking of, okay, I have to identify a problem in the society, a problem. Which is the real problem that needs to be identified? Not every problem. But there are problems that need a rapt attention, an urgent attention. Which are those problems? Now, how do you do that? So when I assume that, okay, there are a lot of problems in our education system that I needed to go in to solve, first of all, I conducted a survey. I went to the schools. Then I observed challenges that the schools were facing. I didn't only observe, I interviewed people, I engaged people, asking them questions, teachers, people that mattered, teachers, head teachers, and school managers. And these people helped me with the right problem that the schools were facing. That what I was even thinking were not the problems. That I got to know the real problems. So identify the real problem, the right problem, not every problem. That's where the streets pace you. Number 2, I call it, you would have to borrow capacity. Borrow capacity. Now, one thing you have to understand is that in this world, we don't do it alone. When you go alone, when you think alone, oh yes, a bigger idea will come out. But when you want to build an empire, you need to work with somebody. In the Bible, I have come to the realization that when it comes to building and creation, you don't do it alone. In the Bible, in the Bible, in Genesis, we hear words like, let us create. Now, when creation comes in, it means that it doesn't work with one person. Let us. You bring on board people to build or to create. Number 2, let us build. So building and creation call for persons, not a single person. You don't do it alone, but you bring in people to do that. And lastly, before you go ahead and sell any product or any solution that you have brought on board, you would have to prototype. Just prototype. You don't build, and after building, you take that particular solution that you have built, that, okay, fine, I have built it, so just use it. You would have to bring in people, sell it to people for them to test it, whether it is really working as you were thinking. And then during that time, they will come out and tell you that, okay, this thing that you brought on board really worked. So apart from we building the learning material, we also thought of building, because when we visited most of the schools, we noticed that they had problems. They were facing a lot of challenges when it comes to management. So we built this system. I came together with somebody. We built a management system that could help or support managers in the various schools to manage their schools well. And then when we were done building the system, we didn't go ahead and sell it. But then we gave this system out to IT teachers, to managers, to test whether actually this particular thing was working or it needs an extra touches. And we took feedbacks from them. And these feedbacks helped us to build our system very well. So today, we're learning 3 things. You don't just solve a problem, though the society has a lot of problems, but identify the real problem, the immediate one. Then you don't do it alone. Bring in people to support you. And after you have built that brand, or after you have built that particular solution, you have to test it very well to know that it is working before you go out there to sell. So today, we are all moving from the school or the desk to the street. And one thing that I have discovered is that the school has mastered the act of teaching us much about exams. But then we have to use the knowledge that we have gained in our education system and then look for a very big problem, identify the very big problem, and look for a very big solution to that. I believe today we are going to start with something beautiful like that. Thank you.